Okay, we're over here with the McCarrolls down in La Colorado, and I messed up and didn't put the card in the first video, so you guys get your second chance at fame here. So you guys run several trucks, and you do custom haying, and you use the Evergreen this year. Kind of tell me what you saw or what happened.
Well, the first part that we used it on, we used it on this second cut here, very first, and we had a half circle out here that we were baling on, and we had 2 balers running there, and we went out to check the hay, and the hay was kind of maybe we could try it,
Right.
And we've all kind of felt that, where you went out there and you feel the hay and you think, okay, I can try it. And then you try it, and then, oh shoot, it's too wet, and I'm getting, 18 to 20%, 21% moisture in there. Well, you can't bale that and keep that hay in there. And so, we went out, and of course we had the Evergreen product in the preservative in our tanks and everything. So we thought, well, we'll go out and try it with that. Well, and let me back up a little bit. So if you go out there and do that and you try it, then you've got at least put through a bale or 2.
Sure.
And then so you got 2 bales, 3 bales, 4 bales, 6 bales. I mean, how many times did you try it?
Right.
And you've got those bales are going to be ruined. So with the Evergreen product, you can go out there and you can start baling, and you still have to use a little common sense to
Exactly.
Fill the hay and make sure that it feels like it's close to go. But if it's close to go, you can get in there and get going. And we started out and it was anywhere from 17% to 22%, right around in there. And so we kept going with it, and just letting the baler automatically put it on the moisture tester and monitor to automatically inject that preservative on there. And we were able to finish the whole half circle that way, and the bales look great. They've got good leaf retention on them. They got good weight in them, which is, that's a big thing for us too, is, you bale a lot of the second cutting and your weight is terrible.
Right.
And, and it kind of hits us on both sides, because not only are we losing that weight on the hay, we lose that weight on the truck when you get it down to the dairy in New Mexico.
Exactly.
And so, these bales had good weight, they had good leaf retention, and we were able to finish the half circle. Well, that night, it came in and rained, and I mean big puddles of rain, not a small little shower. So had we had to wait, we would have had to rake that together, let it sit, let it dry, and by that point, it would have looked just like junk, and by the time you get it in the bale too, at that point, you're going to knock every single leaf off of there. You're going to be putting dust in there. I mean, that's a middle of the day bale that you're going to throw on there, and you're going to have 1,800 pound bales.
Sure.
Where now, we're having anywhere from 2,000 to 2,100 pound bales, and that's pretty dang good for second cutting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other big thing, is we're getting on them like a day and a half earlier than what we could normally. So some instances even 2, just the way the ground moisture is here in the dirt, it don't cure as quick as other places,
Yeah.
So that's helping a bunch that way.
Well, good. So, did it take a little while to get the faith to do it?
You get in there and I haven't had the moisture monitor on my baler before. This was the first year I've used the moisture monitor. My dad and Craig, they've both used the moisture monitor in years past, and I've went off pressure,
Right.
which is the old way of.
Sure.
But
that's what you knew.
Right, that's what I knew. And so when I got in there, we got going on that, and I'm looking at the moisture going, man, this is 18%, and my pressure is down to like 800, 700. I'm sitting there thinking, man, I hope this stuff works. But yeah, the first little bit, it kind of gets you a little bit like, ugh. But, hearing some of the good reviews we've heard with it, and, like I said, we stacked this hay up tight bales out there, and so, and I mean, you can walk by a stack and you'll know.
Right.
Within
I
a
mean,
week or so.
within 2 or 3 days, you're kind of starting to get that feel of, man.
Yeah.
You walk by it and you can smell, and it smells like it's kind of cooking, and the stack starts leaning. And hey, this one's not. I mean,
It smells good.
It smells good, and it's.
And how long has it been up now?
We did that last week. It's been about.
Week and a half, 2 weeks.
It's been about 5-6 days
Okay.
at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it goes through that sweat 2 or 3 days after, Now, you mentioned about that you let the baler put it on. And some of those will put on a little more than what's needed. We only require 2 pounds up to 25%. But you do get some residual, okay? The residual that you get is that even though you put more of it on, now if you were to get a big rain or to get a big snowstorm this year, what'll happen is that product will go down and it's still live there. When you activate it with moisture again, it'll start it reworking. So even though you put maybe more than you needed on, you're, number one, you're protected, but number two, if you get a big snowstorm or the rain again, it will start acting again. So,
But that's I didn't know that until you were telling me here, and that's something to really think about too, because the other thing, Joe, is we get down to the dairies, and you have a stack. Let's say we had a rain year like we had this year,
right.
And your first cutting is looking bad by the time
Right.
you get it down there, and it gets stack damage. Well, then they start saying, well, this is stack damage. What are we going to do about this? And maybe you put it up perfect,
Right.
but it's still got that stack
Stripes on
damage on it. So where if you had some of that product on there, that Evergreen product on there, I mean, shoot, man, that kind of eliminates that molding process that happens as it is in the stack.
Exactly. And many times I've found that when guys negotiate, if the product's there already, like one time I shipped some equipment overseas, but I already got it to the port, and the port said, well, you have oil leaks and this and that, and you can't load it on the ship because somebody had to go clean that. I didn't know if they had an oil leak or not. But once the product's already delivered, that's when the opportunity to negotiate on the other end becomes hard. And so if you know what you're shipping before you go and it's what you want, and everybody wants to put up good hay.
Right.
That's one reason why I got into this project, is because everybody has a desire to put up good hay, but you're working against nature all the time.
Well, and that's why we burned those 4 loads last year and of third cutting, and it's just hard to wait sometimes when you see the clouds on the hill up there,
Right.
and you're not knowing how long you're going to be held off at that point.
Yeah, you've got to go, and this equipment needs to run, as expensive as it is, and that's part of the risk of doing it. But
Well, and we talked about cost-wise on doing it, and you say, well, I had to put this much money into it, and I had to put this much money into my baler monitors and things like that. And then you start looking at that, and I was visiting with a guy the other day about it. He says, well, what do you have in your moisture monitor? And I told him, what do you have in your product? I told him, and he says, oh, man, you got a lot of money wrapped up in that. And I says, no, I really do.
Right.
But I says, what's a load of hay worth?
yeah,
Okay, so then we started talking what a load of hay was worth. We got down there, and he says, "Oh man, you burn up 2 loads of hay, and you already paid for it." I says, "Exactly. You know how many loads of hay I paid for? I did last year." So there's 2 or 3, 4 loads of hay that we ruined. I mean, we had to leave them sit here in the stack, and they're no good
right.
because they're burned up. And that was good third cutting milk cow premium
Quality hay.
225 RFB hay.
Yeah.
And
Didn't go anywhere.
it went for $50 a ton here locally. So not only did I lose the hay, the money on the hay, I lost the haul to take it down there.
Right.
So for me, it was kind of a two-edged sword there. I got hit twice instead of
Sure.
just once. And so how much money did I lose last year? Well, shoot, man, I lost enough money last year I could have paid for 5 of the moisture monitors, you know, and about
Right.
10,000 gallons of Evergreen, you know. I mean,
Sure.
there was a lot of hay that I lost and bailed up bad because, again, I mean, and Joe, and you know how it is, and Craig and I and my dad, we stress all summer long. You
I
know.
know.
And all summer long, it's just like, oh my gosh, is the hay gonna be ready? Is it? And then you start looking at the clouds. You know,
Once we break the stack apart,
Right.
what's it gonna be like then? And you start looking at the clouds as you're getting ready to bail, and should we just bail it? You know, and well, we need to get this off, and if we don't get it off in time, we're not gonna get a third. And you know, I mean, we lost a third cutting last year, right?
Mhm.
And it's all because of that right there. You know, I mean, we couldn't get the hay off the field, and
It's stress, guys, and I think what I'm finding with this product is, number one, we want to relieve the stress because, you know, we know we're good up to 25%. Okay. The second thing is capsizing on everything, and we're captivating everything that we can to put up good quality hay, because all the years that I was around, I've seen so much hay that's been either baled too dry or too wet.
Yep.
This gives you a target and a management tool, I think, that
Well, it gives you a big window that you can put hay up in. You know, you're not sitting around waiting for just the perfect condition. You can get out there earlier, and like we were talking earlier, heavens, if you're baling at 25%, there's a heck of a lot more leaves there than at 17,
exactly.
15, 13%, where you need to be to make good hay otherwise.
And which we all know. I mean, what's that translate into? It's a higher RFV. You
Right.
know, you get that leaf retention on there, and you get that higher RFV.
Right.
And so, I mean, that makes you more money right there just by
Yeah.
doing that. I mean, even if you had second cutting that was bloomed out, you know, and you can retain those leaves. I mean, you may have went from 150 RFV hay to 170. You know, and that's for us. That's a significant difference in price.
Big difference in it.
So,
Well, guys, I know you got to make hay, so
get some more of this stuff done.
thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, appreciate
Appreciate it, man.
it. You bet.